know there hasn't been a whole lot of content lately, but I do intend to keep this channel going. There is still, I monitor the channel regularly, so if you guys do ever have questions on a video, I'm usually pretty quick to respond to things, unless it's a troll comment, in which case I'll either laugh at it or make a funny comment about it or whatnot, because I really don't care. Anyway, a couple of things that I've been doing. I actually run 2 channels, and the second channel is focused on my 3D printing stuff. Namely, I've been building, started building 3D printers. I've been developing out a platform, which is part of what's taken my time away from doing videos. And so, like right here in the background, I have another printer frame that's all been sanded and stained and varnished. It's doing its final cure kind of right now. But that's not the subject of today's video. Today's video is actually about my tractor. So this winter we had a really bad snowstorm that rolled in for better part of a week and a half, 2 weeks. And our road does not get maintained by the local jurisdiction. So I logged a lot of hours trying to keep the driveway and the road clear so that if my work actually was open, I could make it in. As a result of lots of hours of runtime, the tractor started acting up towards the end of the snowstorm, to the point where, you know, I was running it on partial choke all the time, and I ended up tearing through the carburetor and removing all kinds of debris and whatnot, but it still just doesn't run the way it should. And my next step is to beef up the ignition system. I ended up, when I first got the tractor, I threw new cap rotor, points, plug wires, plugs, you know, the whole 9 yards. I didn't have a good ignition coil, so I pulled a used one that I had laying around and added that to the tractor, and it's worked pretty good. But I'm going to replace the points to a PerTronix system. I have one of their pointsless conversions in my Impala project already, and I'm very happy with it. So hopefully this will help with my poor running issue that I have. At the very least, it'll be maintenance free and I'll never have to worry about it.
Alright, so this is the system we're going to be installing. It is a 1244A, and then I also did their flamethrower coil, which is part number 40511. I have no doubts that I'm going to have to replace my plug wires when we get done with this, because they're just standard plug wires, and I'm betting this is going to start blowing through them. So we'll see what we get. At least the weather's dry at the moment, so even if they blow through a little bit, it won't be the end of the world. But anyway, next up, we got to get it started, and hopefully it'll run long enough that I can get the front end loader up and the back blade up. Preferably I'll be able to drive it into the garage, but last time I tried driving it a couple days ago, it barely could move 50 feet. So we'll see what we get. All right, so just got this into the garage. It was way more difficult than I anticipated. So first thing I did was I tried starting it, and I was able to get the back blade up enough where that was good, but it wouldn't even do anything more than sputter, and so I couldn't get the front bucket lifted up. So what I did is I ran a ratchet strap across here just to try and relieve some of the tension. Fortunately, the bucket was curled a little bit so it could kind of skid across the ground. And I took the chain and wrapped it around the frame, and was able to pull the tractor forward enough with the truck where I could get behind it. And then with the back blade up, I was able to just back my truck up and just push on it with the trailer hitch and get it in here. Also, when I was pulling on it from the front, it would track just fine, but I ended up having to add this rope in to keep the steering wheel from moving when I was pushing it from the rear. Anyway, so a couple things while this is in here. This is going to be a couple different projects all rolled together. One of the issues I want to fix is I want to change this bucket mount. This ram is not the original one. The original one had over-centered, hit right here, and bent. So that didn't work very well for me. I got this ram. It has good travel, but the problem is this bucket system was designed to lock and basically be lever activated originally. As a result, that end stop over there prevents you from curling the bucket up, which is not so good for dirt work. So what I want to do is cut that end stop off, cut this back off, move it, give myself 5-10 degrees of curl, and then that'll be the new travel for the bucket. I'll probably add the end stop back in. Secondary, I want to cut these brush teeth out, mostly because I want to get access to this leading edge of the bucket that's pretty rotted out at this point, and add in a reinforcing piece across the whole forward edge there. And then I might repurpose these later as like a bolt-on brush hook, but as they are now, they're more of a hindrance than a help, seeing as I mostly do dirt work with this. Another thing that I need to do is the lift rams are also not factory. They're double action, where the original ones were just a gravity drop. These actually have power down. The result is this system has more fluid in it because of those rams than it was designed for. So at the point where there's enough fluid, it's bubbling out when you're all the way in the down position, but there's not enough capacity to keep it from cavitating. So what I want to do is right in here add in a reservoir. So just like a 2-gallon priming tank right next to the pump, so that way the pump's never starved from hydraulic fluid, and hopefully that will cure my my cavitation issue that I've been having. If we get a little further into it, I might actually open up the steering box. I found this winter that it was getting some moisture into it, and it would freeze up, like literally freeze. And when the tractor was warm, it was fine, but when it was below freezing, you couldn't turn to the left. So might need to pull that apart and grease it or something, find a way to make it not be full of water. So we'll have to deal with that in probably a different motion, because that's going to be pretty involved. I'll have to tear this whole thing apart. And if I get to that point where I got to tear this cowling off, I'll probably take in and repair this bottom edge of it that's just been rotting away. I could get a reproduction cowl, but this tractor being kind of special, I kind of don't want to get rid of anything that I don't have to, other than making sure everything's functional. All right, as you can see, there's not a whole lot of room. This would be a lot better if I didn't have this front end loader here, but it comes off, the cap comes off easily enough, other than it's all rusty. I guess I spoke too soon. Find a screwdriver. Okay. Why is that not separating? That pulled the whole unit off. Lovely. Okay, so this one has two sections. The rotor actually sits up underneath this like protective shield. Really didn't want to take that loose. I think we'll just take that off, then I can swivel this out of the way. Okay. All right, now that I got the kind of the coil bracket loose here, it's got a bolt on the side of the head and a bolt on the front of the head, and then just clamps on there. I believe this is the original bracket, but you see how crusty this coil was that I had. So what we're going to do is, I just wanted to double check something real quick. So I'm pretty sure I put it on the right terminals before. But who knows what I actually did. All right. Yeah, this coil definitely needs to just go away. This one was a takeoff from my old Buick years ago. This happened to be one I had laying around when I got this up and running initially all those years ago. But it has seen its service life and then some, and I'm just some things in life are not worth holding on to the old technology. The new coils have much better engineering in them than these ancient old ones. Now I did just double check off camera that the coil was oriented correctly, which I did. So now there's just a lock nut holds this stud in place. So we're going to get that out of there. Because basically this whole thing gets gutted for this conversion. Now I broke that piece off, so there'll be there's no going back at this point. It's broken. Ooh, I'm gonna have to reach in there with a pair of pliers and hold on to the guts. Let me get oh, I got a screwdriver here. Sweet. Forgot I brought one over earlier. I'm not sure what I'm going to need for hold down hardware, so I'm definitely not going to throw any of these screws away. I haven't looked that closely at the kit. But I'm betting these points are just completely cooked. Alright, well, a little better than I expected, but they're still pretty haggard. So these are no more. Alright, reach in there with a pair of pliers so I can hold on to this nubbin that I broke off. So get it out of there, because the wires pass through where this terminal goes through the side of the housing here. There we go. Yeah, the joys of snaking a bolt out of a place that it doesn't want to come out of. Yeah, I think I'm going to make my life easier because I want to pull this plate up anyway so I can clean it because it is disgusting. So we'll just pull this plate up now and then it'll make getting that post out a little bit easier. All right, well, I got this plate cleaned up about as good as it's gonna get. I wish I had the media booth like I have at work. It would have made cleaning that up a lot nicer. But, you know, it is what it is. Okay, so we got that in there. Let's get some screws in it. Now, I'm doing one thing on faith a little bit. I'm just assuming that the guys at PerTronix clocked the pickup coil so it's in the same position relative to the relative to everything, relative to the points. So we're just gonna plop it on there and hopefully it sparks the right place so I don't have to retime this distributor, because to be honest I have no idea how to do that on this tractor. Okay, those are nice and tight. Break open the unit. Oops. Alright. Look at that, it's got a couple nice shiny new screws. It acts like I'm supposed to be in a position like this, but those are not lining up the way you're supposed to. Maybe I should set this here coil on first. Give me an idea where I need to be spacing wise. Okay. That's how it's supposed to go. Okay, I got it figured out now. So there's a hole here and a hole here that index where the old points used to index. So that's what I line it up with. And all the rest of it doesn't matter. All right, now before I get any further, because it has a clockwise and a counterclockwise position, I'm going to bump the starter over and see which direction this turns, because I don't know, honestly. So, oh, good thing I checked, because that is definitely counterclockwise. So, let me unscrew that, rotate it. All right, now I just gotta feed these wires through that little hole there, which is easier said than done. It does come with a little boot to kind of seal everything up. Make sure the wires are laying where you want them to prior to pulling it all the way through. I'm just making sure there's enough slack that the wires don't have any pressure on them and that they'll never come in contact with this pickup magnet here. I think we are okay. Give them just a little more length in there so they run more towards the outside. I think that's good. So something doesn't feel right. It's not dropping down the way it should. Probably doesn't help I damage that inner cover a little bit. Oh, now I lost the rotor too. Jesus. All right, well, I'm gonna shut the camera off while I try to get this figured out. So first things first, I got this oriented where the positive terminals to the back and the negative terminals to the front. Mostly I just want the power feed coming in. I want to protect it from the front drive on the tractor as much as possible, just in case like a belt comes off or something like that. Anyway, we're gonna drop this in. Hopefully I can snake it in there without too much grief. This front bolt is by far the most difficult. Mostly because I can't see anything while I'm trying to get it in place. Come on. Just kind of feeling around. All right, now it's started. Get it pretty close to done. I'll get this side piece on too. And then you drop the bolt, make life even more difficult. Here we go. I'm sure you guys can't see any of what I'm doing right now. Just working in a blind hole, but that's the experience that I'm encountering right now. Okay. So that's started. Get that snug down real quick. When you set your coil height, make sure you're not sitting on any hard lines or anything like that. You don't want to damage the coil or whatever it's resting on. All right, moment of truth. See if it'll light off. Yeah, it sputtered. That's a good sign. So I ended up having to go through the carburetor and fix a couple issues with that, but this is the best this tractor has probably ever run. So at least I'm on the right path. I'm really glad that PerTronix system is working the way I hoped it would. So anyway, hope you guys found this useful, and can't wait to get another video out for you.